Tom Campbell here. If you find something of significant value in our videos, please consider supporting their production through our Patreon account or through a one-time donation. The links are in the description below. Thank you and enjoy the video.
Jane, please go ahead.
Hi everybody, and hi Tom. Thank you so much. I feel really privileged and honored that you're doing this for people that are giving. I have to say, I feel like I'm getting a lot more than the $10 I'm giving a month. So thank you. I've heard you talk a lot about, I'm going to read. I don't like to read my questions, but I figure, you know, it could go on for 10 minutes if I don't actually put it down and read it. Yeah. I've heard you talk a lot about how love and caring for others lowers entropy and fear raises entropy. And while I've heard some people say they think there's no science to prove this, I disagree with them because I've experienced love creating order and harmony in my relationships, functional love, and I've experienced dysfunctional, addictive, and crazy love, which isn't really love, creating tremendous chaos and suffering for myself. And certainly I've experienced fear creating suffering. I haven't heard you talk about why. Why is this so that it's love and caring for others that lowers entropy? Why isn't fear what lowers entropy and love increases entropy? And I have a conjecture about this, which is that outside of the LCS, which I know we cannot really know since we're inside the LCS, but my conjecture is that outside the LCS is love in the way that many religious scriptures surmise that God is love. And I'm not saying that I'm calling it God. And so my first part of this question is, what do you think of this conjecture of mine that outside the LCS is love? And does this make any sense to you that love is the entity existing outside of the LCS, and that this is the reason that in this PMR reality, love is what lowers entropy? And the second part of my question is, do you have any other thoughts or knowledge of why this is so, that it is love lowering entropy instead of fear and being the other way around?
Sure. Matter of fact, that's one of the fundamental things I often talk about in my videos. The logical stream is like this. The larger consciousness system is an information system, okay? And that's because consciousness is awareness that makes choices. And awareness is aware of what? What is awareness aware of? It's aware of information, right? So what you're aware of now is the information you get from your five senses. That's what you're aware of. So consciousness is awareness, takes in information, processes that information. So consciousness is an information system. An information system that has all of its bits random is a very high entropy information system. Actually, it's no information at all, because if all the bits are random, there is no information in the system. There's nothing but randomness, okay? If that system orders some of its bits, that becomes information, those ordered bits. Now, entropy is a measure of disorder. So that information system with all its bits random is very high entropy. Okay, when it orders some of those bits to create information, it's lowered its entropy. So creating information lowers entropy. Now, a system that takes in information, processes it, and then decides to make changes or to do something with it, that system is going to evolve, and it's going to evolve toward lower entropy. If it evolves toward higher entropy, it disappears. It becomes all random bits again. So its evolution is in the direction of lower entropy. So consciousness is an information system that is evolving toward lower entropy. Now, consciousness broke itself into individuated units of consciousness, which is you and I and all the rest of the people here and everywhere, and the dogs and the cats and the monkeys and everything that's conscious is an IUOC, individuated unit of consciousness. Thus, consciousness became a social system. Okay? Social systems are systems of pieces of interactive consciousness, whether it's a social system in a herd of deer or a social system with a bunch of people, it's interactive units of consciousness is what's going on. So a social system with interactive units of consciousness will minimize its entropy, lower its entropy, that is, evolve its consciousness by cooperating. Social systems, groups of individuals, can do more with whatever resources they have if they cooperate, if they share, if they care about each other. So I call that the love side. That lowers entropy. Social systems that are based on fear are high entropy because fear, there's no trust. No trust, then there's very little caring, at least outside of your own little family group. There might be caring, but there's no real caring toward the group. Everything tends to be self-centered. It's all about you and what you can get and your survival and what your immediate people need. So it's all more of a self-centered thing. That's high entropy. So what this does is says that consciousness is evolving toward low entropy. Consciousness is an information system that evolves toward low entropy. And low entropy, you get low entropy by cooperating, by caring, by being compassionate, by having empathy, you see. So that's why lowering your entropy, evolving the quality of your consciousness are all synonyms for the same thing. So that's why love is the answer. It's the answer to lowering entropy. So becoming love, becoming kinder, becoming more cooperative, that is lowering your entropy because that is the low entropy optimal for a social system. Consciousness is a social system. So that's the connection between low entropy and consciousness evolution, and love is the answer. So that's why here we are, little pieces of consciousness, and what we're doing is trying to evolve our consciousness. And we do that by lowering our entropy, and we do that by being loving, caring, and cooperative. So we lower our entropy by making low entropy choices. That's why we're in this virtual reality entropy reduction trainer. So as stuff happens and we have to deal with it, if we make low entropy choices, which is choices of caring, then we evolve. If we make high entropy choices, like choices of self-pity or self-centeredness, then we de-evolve. So that's how that comes together. So your idea that the love comes from a loving space outside of consciousness isn't necessary to the fact that evolving consciousness is evolving toward love, and that love is the I even define love as love is the nature of a low entropy consciousness is love. So that's the way I think of it, and that's the way it is in my model. So what you can, the way I think of love is that love is what we're all trying to become. Love is becoming love is the purpose for our existence.
I guess my question is, because everything you just said is all the things I love to listen to you say and read you say in the book. And I guess my question is it not a mystery as to why is it so that it is true that social systems evolving towards love are lowering entropy? I mean, why is that so? In other words, why is it not so that maybe it would be fear that
Yeah.
would create more harmony
Well,
and less entropy?
well, for that, you just have to look at the two, put them side by side and see which one lowers entropy and which one raises entropy. It's just an experiment you can do in your mind. And you've probably heard me do that. You know, you have two groups and they have the same resources and they're pretty much identical. And one of them is kind and caring and so on. And that group, you can just imagine people you know, and they have a certain number of resources that they have to deal with. Just think of that. And think of this group of people. Maybe you're trapped on an island, right? You're trapped on an island, you and 20 people, okay? And all of you on the island, and you only have, 2 coconut trees and, 1 fishing rod. So, those are your resources. Now, how can you best, lower entropy, which is get, no chaos? How can you best get along? Well, to share, to care about each other, to help each other. And now look at, and you'll get along the best you can. At least everybody will get something to eat and something to drink and so on, and you'll all help each other. Now think of it the other way. 20 people, same 20 people on that island, and they're all self-centered. It's all about me. Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy that has the fishing rod says, well, that's my fishing rod. And if you want any fish, you need to do this for me and that for me. And he becomes the king of the island and everybody else becomes his servant. Well, everybody resents that because they don't want to be his servant. So they get together one day and they beat him up and they take his fishing rod away. And somebody else gets the fishing rod. Okay, now maybe 2 people get that rod together. And now they say, okay, the rest of you, you're going to have to work for us. And so on it goes because everybody there is self-centered and it's all about them. You see, so what do you have? You have constant dysfunction, constant arguing, constant struggle, and nobody necessarily gets something to eat and something to drink and taken care of. Everybody's on their own. You get hurt. Oh, maybe she'll die. She's hurt. Maybe she'll die. It'll be more for the rest of us to go around, you see. So that'll be the attitude. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to take care of you. Now, let both of those islands with those same people on it go for 10 years. What are you going to have at the end? Well, at the end of the Love Island, you're going to have 10 people all doing the best they can with what they got. They've optimized their situation by lowering their entropy. And on the other side, you'd be lucky if anybody's still alive. The whole thing is going to disintegrate into dysfunction and people fighting with each other. Even if there's only 2 people left, they'll fight with each other because they're both self-centered. They don't care about anybody but themselves. So you see, just looking at that example tells you why the low entropy path is the caring path. I mean, it just is an obvious experiment that we can do in our mind. And we've been in both situations. We've been with people who care for us, and we know how helpful that is and how good that works. And we've been in situations where people are all grabbing stuff for themselves, and we know how dysfunctional that is. And we can see where that goes. I mean, we right now have a reality that's full of people who have a lot of high entropy, right? Low quality of consciousness. And we live in a place that's far from being optimal for everybody, very far from being optimal. But hey, in our own family, where everybody cares about everybody, somebody gets hurt, the other people come to help out. Oh, that's good. Wouldn't it be nice if we all saw each other as family? So to me, it's just obvious from that thought experiment of why, a social system that cares is one of low entropy, that those two just have to go together. The high entropy just is a result of being self-centered, which is high entropy. So that's why I get to that conclusion. It's just a mental experiment that seems to me just completely obvious that that's the way it has to work.
I can get to it myself with just, my husband. I realize that, whenever I react to something or he reacts to something, it's definitely not a harmonious situation. And as soon as we decide to just sit down and listen to the other person and try and understand where they're coming from and hear their reality, regardless of agreeing or not, wow, it's amazing how
Yes, exactly.
harmony occurs. I guess I just feel, I wonder if it's a bit of a mystery,
No,
love in some way. Why that
that's just,
you don't think there's any mystery there?
no, there's no mystery to it at all. It's just the nature of entropy. High entropy is chaotic. Low entropy is the opposite of chaotic. It's just, that's just the way it is. And then you can associate the low entropy, the not chaotic, with the love, and you associate the high entropy with the fear. So I think it's just the way it is. I don't think there's any mystery to why it is that way. It's just the logic of entropy, if you will.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yana, welcome. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. I'm going to read my question. Thank you very much for your patience, for your love, and enormous amount of time dedicated to people seeking for answers. My question today is about family relationship. I've been having a very difficult relationship with my mother for all my adult life. I have a love-hate relationship with her, coming and going like waves. I finally understood what narcissistic traits are: psychology of emotional abuse, childhood traumas, and manipulations. I understand why she is who she is. What I can't get is how to love her regardless. Even now, when I'm writing this, it was yesterday, I'm sorry. I have a tear streaming from my eyes, and I can't pinpoint to either they're about love or pain or disgust. I'm on my way to my personal evolution. This become a purpose of my life. The question is how to forgive, heal, and love.
Okay. You have to accept, and this has to happen down at the core of you, at the being level. You have to accept that your mother just is the way she is. She is an individuated unit of consciousness doing what she does, doing the best she can with what she's got. She maybe came in with a very low quality of consciousness from her last incarnation, and she's just struggling with that. Okay, so she's doing what she can. She just is what she is, and you accept that. Now, you accept that probably at an intellectual level. Okay, that's just my mom. But you haven't accepted it at an emotional level. At an emotional level, when you accept that at an emotional level, then your mom no longer makes you angry or upset, either one. She just is the way she is. As a matter of fact, when she's yelling and hollering and accusing you of things and giving you guilt trips and all the other things she's doing, you feel compassion for her. Poor lady, she's so unhappy. She's so miserable. She's so wound up in negativity and in herself that she can't see outside of that. And then you have compassion for her. And instead of being upset or angry, you could go over and just give her a hug, even while she's ranting and raving about you, and tell her, well, I'll see you next week, Mom. And it doesn't bother you. In other words, right now, your mom still pushes your buttons. It still upsets you when she says things to you because you want to have her approval. You want to have her love, and you're not going to get her approval because that's not something that she's probably capable of doing just now. So you need to just accept that's the way she is and not be upset by it. And when you'll know when you've done that, when you no longer react to her emotionally. Oh, you may react emotionally as far as your compassion goes, but I mean, you don't get upset. You don't have negative feelings because of the things she says and does. That's when you will have accepted it at the being level, at the core of you, That's what you need to do. And how do you go about doing that? Well, when you feel yourself getting upset and you feel yourself being annoyed or angry, then you need to stop. Just stop it and say, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be upset. My mother's upset. She's raving about how bad I am or something like that, how useless I am or how I never help. Whatever it is, these trips that she lays on you that makes you upset. She's like that, but I don't want to be like that. I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to stay positive. And then you'll find that all that negativity she's throwing at you just goes right like you're Teflon coated. It doesn't stick. It just runs in one ear and out the other, and it never leaves any on you. You never get a drop on you. And at that point, now you can go see your mom and be kind to her, and it doesn't matter what she says. You can still give her a hug and walk out with a smile on your face because you've accepted that she's just like that. And you know what you'll find is that when you stop reacting, your mom will begin to change. Because you and her are in this dysfunctional dance. And when you refuse to dance any longer, she won't know what to do. And at first, she'll probably escalate and get even more negative. But when that doesn't work and you still don't dance, she'll start to change. And you'll actually be helping her change just by giving her an example of how to be. And she'll start taking that example. So that should be your goal, is to learn to just let your mom be. Don't think negative about her. Don't say, oh, she's an awful person, how horrible she is, how badly she treats me. Just say she's doing the best she can with what she's got, what she started with. And what she started with wasn't much, and she's a very miserable, unhappy person, and that's her burden to bear. But she's like that because she's so self-centered. It's all about her. Everything's about her. So, she'd have her own story about how she got like that. I'm sure her life wasn't full of, pie and ice cream all the time either. So she's got her own reasons, but those are her reasons to deal with. She needs to deal with that. You need to deal with yours. She needs to deal with hers. And part of the way she deals with her dislike of herself is by taking it out on you. Well, when you don't react, then that won't work anymore. And that's why you growing up is going to help her grow up. So just stay positive, and it won't be easy. First time you see her and she says something nasty to you, it's going to hurt. And you just need to stop yourself and say, I don't want to go there. Don't get upset. Just let it go. It's just mom. It's just the way she is. She's like that. It's nothing personal. And see, you stop taking it personally. It's no longer a slight to you. It's your mom just doing what your mom does. Has nothing to do with you. It's just her view. You're not like that. You see, so you decouple yourself from her negativity rather than coupled to that negativity to where you accept that negativity, and now you're angry that she's calling you all these names and saying these negative things about you because you're taking them on. Just be positive. Don't react negatively. You can react, but react positively. React with compassion. Let her be whoever she is. You be who you are. And you don't have to be a piece of her or her a piece of you. Be your own person. And in your own mind, you're not that way. You're not this horrible person. You are a worthy person. You're a good person. You're doing the best you can with what you've got to deal with. And that's good. And you need to just hang on to that positive attitude and not let your mom bring you down. Stay positive. So easy to say, harder to do. But if you persist with that intent to just not go there, just not have those buttons that your mom can push, then eventually those buttons will go away. And then eventually after that, actually pretty quickly after that, your mom will stop being so abusive, because her being abusive to you doesn't work anymore for her, because she doesn't get the reaction. She'll stop being abusive. But now you can't act it. I'm not saying that you just have to put that smile on your face and paste it on there and act nice to her when you really are all torn up inside. That won't help. Well, it'll help a bit. It'll reduce the problem, but it won't solve it. The only way to solve it is to be that way. Be a person that doesn't have buttons. And you get that way just through a constant intent to be that way.
Thank you very much, Tom. I just have some note to make to this. When I have triggers activated, so that's that specific moment I have to have an intent to stop and to not to be this way.
Right, not to
In
trigger.
other words, not to get angry, frustrated, or upset.
Right. Yes. So when you feel that triggering, just stop and say, no, not going there. I'm not going to let my emotions go running off in some kind of negative direction, feeling hurt and abused and angry, and that just won't go there. Just going to stay where I am right now. And that will be hard, but it'll probably be impossible the first time you try, but it will get better and it'll get easier. The more you try, the more successful you'll be with it. And that's what you do. Yeah, when you start feeling that, just say, it's not about me. She's not really saying anything about me. All of that venom and all that nastiness is about her, how she feels, her misery. It's not about me. Okay, she's trying to make it about me, but it isn't really. I don't accept it. And when you get to that point at the being level, it just, like I say, you're Teflon coated. None of it sticks. It just flows right on by you, and you can smile, a real smile, not one pasted on your face, and go over and give her a hug and tell her goodbye or something, because you don't just have to stand there and be abused. Spend less time there. But the time you do spend there, make it positive. You stay positive. It's her, not you.
Okay.
The only reason it makes you angry is that you accept those insults. You accept that negative stuff. That's what makes it hurt. You take it in, and then when you get it, then you are angry because you feel you don't deserve it. See, you're coupled to it. Your own, you're coupled to that. It's a dysfunctional thing between the two of you. And
Mm-hmm.
you just have to uncouple yourself from it to where it's just your mom, and it really, the things she said don't have anything to do with you.
Let me speak up and say something here. Goes with my coaching background and some of the training and books I've been reading about compassion. As a human being, you need compassion. You need to connect with other people. So if you have a mother that is like this, that you're dealing with, Tom said, makes it sound simple. Just disconnect from her. It's not simple, okay? It's difficult, and you need a lot of other support to help you keep your energy level positive and up, and not allow her to drain it. So make sure you surround yourself with positive friends and other loved ones, because if you try to do this alone with her, it's extremely difficult.
Yes, I unconsciously do that for many years. I disconnect for a very long time, and then I feel like I need to go back. And this is, it's like a tug of war.
Yeah, make sure you are connecting with others. Don't try to get your connection from her, because she is not capable of giving you the positiveness that you're needing as a human being. But make sure you get it from there's plenty of good people out there. Get your connection. Just decide and again, just is not easy, but decide in your mind, you will not get it from her. Give it up. but you do need it. So make sure you surround yourself with a support system that you can be positive with, and it is a give and take, because otherwise you've got her taking and that's all you've got. And it's very hard to function that way as a human being.
Yes, yes, thank you. I have a great family. I have a great husband and kids, and they're my support system.
That's good.
I've been very blessed with that. Thank you
Good.
very much. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Luis.
Thank you, Donna. Can you hear me there?
Yes, hear you well.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Tom. So my question has evolved so much during the last hour that I'm just trying to formulate in as brief as I can. So it has to do with dealing with passive-aggressive behavior. And that's it. And then let me give you some context. So I'm new in the place that I'm right now, and it's an apartment building, and it has limited parking spaces. So crazy thing has been happening in the last days, in which each time that I come home, there's a new spot that it's open. It's never the same one. But sometimes in the morning, there's a person parking behind me, and so it's been going on and on. I think the most important part for me is that it has developed in me a certain paranoia that I try to figure out what it's happening really, because people go out in the morning and come back during night, so there's not really a moment to engage them or to just maybe agree on the places that we're gonna use, or if somebody is going out earlier than me, then maybe we can make some arrangements. So I've been just trying to figure out. I already spoke with the owner of the apartment, and she says that, oh, no, you have your own place. There's no problem. And the other part is that I've been also dealing with, you know how sometimes we say, just deal with things as they come, just take care of the moment. So as I get past my OCD of having the same place each time, I can really easily just take whatever place is open. But I don't know, I still noticed there is some weird things happening, like in terms of, I just feel people is not happy with the ways things are happening, but nobody's talking to me. There's no real communication, so I don't know. I could easily just go on and just deal with my paranoia, but also I don't know if I should not let things just unfold by themselves, so to speak.
Okay. Well, it depends on what the rules are and how the thing's set up. If indeed, like your landlord said, you have an assigned parking place, if there is some place there that has, say, your room number on it or your apartment number on it, and that is your parking space, well, then that is your parking space and nobody else should be parking there. That comes with the rent you pay at parking space as part of what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, if there is a car in there, then I would go to the landlord and say, all right, there's a car in my parking space. What do we do about that? And the landlord should call a towing service to come get the car, put it up, jack it up, put it up on a truck and drive away with it. And that person will have to go pay some money to get their car back, which will be a pretty good incentive not to do that the next day. You see? So I think you should just, not just roll over and say, well, they park in my space, I'll park in somebody else's space, because when you park in somebody else's space, now you're the person who is overrunning their free will. So if indeed it's set up that you have a space, then you should demand that that space is yours. And if somebody else is parking there, they're parking in a space that's not their space, and they need to stop or suffer the consequences. You overrun somebody else's, right, then you have to pay the consequences, which is go pay somebody $100 to get your car back. So that's what you should do. And you should ask your landlord, what's the process? Probably it's hers, the landlord's, to call and have the car removed, probably not yours. But if you tell her, I have this problem all the time, and what's your solution for it? And maybe she just want to first go out and find out who it is and have a chat with them, and maybe explain to them that next time your car is going to be pulled away, but that's her thing to do with. She's running the apartment complex, not yours. It's not yours to call the tow truck, it's hers. So work that out with her. And, if the rule is not like that, but if the rule is, well, first come, first serve, get any parking space you can. And if you can't, well, go park further away and walk. That's the rule. Well, then you can work with that rule. That means you have to get off work an hour earlier. So you get back before other people get back. And it means you have to maybe leave, earlier. Well, that works. If you get to work an hour early and you leave work an hour early, well, problem solved. You'll always have parking spaces. So you can deal with that, the best way you can. And everybody else, of course, will be trying to deal with it the best way they can too. And if sometimes you have to park a block away and walk, well, that's the way it is in that situation. So that's okay. You see, so it depends on what the rules are, what you should do. But it sounds like you've got a parking space that comes with your apartment, and so does everybody else. And maybe they only get one space and they have two cars. Well, that's
the main problem. Yeah.
That's their problem to solve. You see, by parking in somebody else's place is not an acceptable way to solve that problem. That's a dysfunctional way. That's the high entropy way to solve that problem. Control, power, force. They get in there first, they control it. Sorry. It's self-centered and it's not good. Well, you should put up with that. Push back and demand that the landlord fix it. Give the landlord maybe a few days to fix it, but get them to fix it. And if the landlord says, well, I don't really want to do anything about it, well, then the rules just switch to there's a certain number of parking spaces, and whoever gets there first gets to keep them. It's just a different rule. And it doesn't matter which way the rules are. She just needs to make the rules and stick to it. That's the way it is. So I think that's
it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, it's very simple.
It's pretty simple.
You just need to talk to the landlord and let her decide what her rules are and then stick to those.
It's funny that I've heard you talk and people ask about it, and I keep using somehow like the spiritual phrases and perspectives to hide my tendency towards being passive and trying to avoid confrontation and things like that. That I go, oh no, I'm just doing the take care of your moment kind of approach, but I'm just really avoiding the simple solution, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the best way to engage people is to turn the other cheek and just deal with whatever's there. The other times, the best way to deal with people is to stand your ground and say, this is the way it is, and stand up for it. So in this case, it just depends on what the rules are. And you can work within the rules, however they are. It's not a problem. Simple solution, yes.
Simple solution. Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
Tom Campbell here. MBT Events. Hope you liked this video. We now have well over 1,000 hours of free video on this user-friendly, ad-free YouTube channel. Though these videos are free to our viewers, they represent many thousands of hours in production and editing, and many thousands of dollars invested in video and audio equipment, along with the required computers and software to store and process the raw video into finished products. So far, all of this content has been funded directly out of our own pockets. Be assured, we will always continue to do what we can. It's our life, our purpose, a labor of love that we will continue to pursue as best we can. However, those pockets are not as deep as they used to be. Thus, we are now seeking to augment our resources with support from our viewers. If you find something of significant value in our videos, please consider supporting their production through our newly created Patreon account or through a one-time donation. The links are in the description below. Thank you.